The dairy industry is a key food source around the world, with demand rising as the population grows. Technology and production methods have advanced significantly over the last several decades, but progress has also brought problems for both man and beast. God created cattle to graze on lush green plant life to satisfy their biological needs and help produce a rich food substance that not only feeds their young, but has also been adopted as a nutritional building block for much of a human's diet. In many parts of the world, and with the enormity of many dairies, it's no longer viable for cattle to graze, even if the climate allowed. So agribusiness came up with a way to feed dairy cattle in their pens, using grains, hay, and silage. It works at a very basic level. Dairy cattle can survive and even produce milk, but this industry solution is proving to be far from perfect.
The whole industry has been involved in feeding lots of grains, lots of starch. But the animal's designed to eat just forage. It's not a grain eater.
Research now shows that cows are suffering, and in the end, so is the bottom line of the dairy operator. A number of significant health issues have arisen from a mostly dry diet, which results in high acid levels in the cattle.
I would say about 80% of the dairies in the United States today, because of the grain being fed, are what we call subclinical acidosis. There are signs of this acid profile being quite a bit up there.
As a result, the cows experience digestive disorders, increased flatulation, laminitis, fewer reproduction cycles, fertility difficulties, decreased production quality and quantity, as well as various other ailments costing real dollars in vet bills, higher herd cull rates, and lost milk sales. It's time to get back to the original divine intent, and that's where Green Meadows 365 has a solution. We are now, in essence, bringing the pasture to the pen. Through significant research, development, and patented technology, Green Meadows has developed a mechanism and system to quickly grow the perfect cow food, fodder. But we actually do it one better by including the root mass with the green barley sprouts and adding beneficial enzymes and probiotics. We actually enhance the nutritional value to the cow and restore her natural ability to digest efficiently, which in turn leads to a significantly better grade of milk.
The production, both the increase in milk and the increase in components in that milk, come from a healthier animal. It's the health of that animal that increased production, and that's what we're seeing this doing for us.
When you go through this barn of 130 cows, you cannot find me a fat one, and you can't find me a skinny one. The fodder has balanced the sorting. The big cows do the sorting, they get bigger, they get fatter. Milk production suffers. As soon as we took the grain out of the formula and added the fodder, it seemed to have leveled it out, and our body conditions there's not a fat cow in the barn and there's not a skinny cow in the barn. They're all conditioned equally.
We've been on the Nutrifix product, the probiotics, for probably 6-7 years. We got onto it. We were having some issues with acidosis, ketosis, transitioning the cows. It was almost like somebody turned a light switch after we started using the product. My cows have never been without it a day since we've been on the product.
Within a week, I could see some changes, and then within 6 months, it was a big change in general health, all around health of the cattle.
Benefits to the cow directly correlate to profit for the dairy operator and even society as a whole. There's no getting around the fact that cows produce more than just milk. That's always created a whole host of environmental issues for the dairy farmer, who has to deal with the costs of disposing of the waste. But a fodder-supplemented diet significantly reduces waste, and that's good for everybody.
We have 20 to 25% less manure. Even though we're feeding more forage, we have less manure, and I think that's done with the fodder is so much more digestible, and it drives that enzymes in that cow's rumen to be so much greater, they can eat more.
We saw an increase of 25% in intake and 25% less manure coming out the back of cows. So that is a huge number that really speaks to the digestive efficiency of the animal.
We've had people here from the NRCS, and they were just blown away with the thoughts of less methane and just less manure which gives us our carbon footprint, smaller. The smell of the manure, my neighbors are a lot happier with me. The smell of the manure is way different. I don't even hear my wife complain. She doesn't even know when we're spreading.
For the first time ever, cows can graze right in their pens. Through its unique growing and harvesting process, Green Meadows is making fodder available to all dairy operators on a consistent, reliable daily basis. When supplemented with other normal feed products, fodder-fed cows will quickly show a marked improvement in their overall health and milk production.
We had this herd to 112-pound milk average. You would think I'd been happy. We weren't happy. We had to find a better way to keep these cows longer, because then it started looking at milk production per life, not milk production per lactation. Because milk production per lactation, most dairymen only get 3 lactations, the cow is left. A real productive farm at 30,000 pounds of milk per lactation is kind of leading you to the average of 90 to 100,000 pounds of milk in the lactation of a cow. We've took them numbers to 200,000 pounds of milk in the life expectancy here.
My feeling is that there's probably 3 pounds a day per cow increase. The cow, I think, utilizes her feed better, and she puts that milk in the pail.
Fodder-fed herds are also showing an increase in the productive life expectancy of individual cows. This is an enormous financial benefit to the dairy owner because the cull rates are significantly lower. In other words, the same cows produce longer and don't have to be replaced.
I'm not very proud of my call rates before fodder. There was a point when we were at 100-pound average plus, we were losing 2 cows a month would just be laying in the stall dead. Really couldn't explain why. The thing that we noticed, there were cows that gave 200 pounds of milk a day, just with the head folded back, sound asleep, never got up again. So we were losing 2 cows a month just to that. Then we were losing more cows to the hoof problems and the breeding problems. Conception rates were terrible here. Of course, when you get the production that high, conception rates are going to be terrible. My call rates were up in that 35, 38%. Nothing to brag about. That's pretty high. Since we've been on fodder for 18, 19 months now, the call rates have dropped. On the old system, I would have probably had 36 dead cows by now. We've had 2. Both of them went because of calving problems.
Green Meadows is pricing its fodder supplement at a level significantly below the current grains fed to cows, such as corn, so the operator actually sees very real feed savings. The most significant component of the turf is its moisture content. Although incredibly, Green Meadows produces fodder using only 2% of the water normally needed in nature, and in a fraction of the time, it still supplies the cow with a critical amount of hydration in her diet. That's important to the cow and very important to the dairy, since the cow wants less water and eats more of the solids needed for making milk. Those dairy operators who have added fodder to their feed mix are seeing significant quantitative improvements in the health of their cows and increased profits in their operations.
I guess from the very beginning when we started the fodder was economically, was to get the cost of the concentrate down. That was number 1. Make the cow healthier was number 2. Naturally, once we started doing that, all the other stuff came. Was the healthier hooves, our conception rates went way up, death rate went way down. The veterinarian hasn't been here in 1 year. We don't even do pregnancy checks anymore. Our conception rates have come up so good.
And those are also key areas that if you don't have to spend X number of dollars for additional vet bills, or if you can breed a cow twice instead of 3 times, or twice instead of 4 times to get her to calve. That's also a huge cost savings.
Well, you drop cost as far as feed trouble, breeding troubles. Everything's declined. A lot of cost. Vet bills are pretty near nil. It's all in the diet. I ain't saying it's that just that product, but that product is a big factor.
This is going to change the way we feed cows, no doubt about it. As these input costs continue to go up and we have no control, this allows you some kind of control, not just in the animal health, which is key, number 1, but your bottom line income.
Although a dairy cow is an incredible milk-producing bio-machine, for years they haven't been operating at peak efficiency because they weren't getting the right fuel. Green Meadows is now bringing that optimum natural fuel back into the mix. This makes for contented cows, which really does lead to more and better milk production. And that, of course, leads to financially contented dairy owners.